I'm really doing this. I'm really doing this. So, hello gorgeous, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new, and if you are new, it would mean so much if you guys click the subscribe button to join my YouTube family. I do upload every single Tuesday and Thursday, and make sure that bell is turned on so you're notified every single time I drop those videos. Can I just say one thing? I am so happy I have a bed finally. We have a spot to film now. I'm gonna do like an updated house video soon and show you guys my new decor. Stay tuned for that, but I am so happy I just got my bed and I am living for it. As you can tell by the title, today I am doing a story time video, and you guys know that I was loving story times in 2020. I have a whole playlist if you guys want to see more videos on stories in my life and dating fails and dating stories. Definitely check out my playlist, but this one is definitely one that is long overdue. Genuinely have thought about doing this video for a very long time. It's crazy because out of like all the stories I shared with you guys, this one is the longest relationship, my first relationship, and the worst experience when it comes to dating that I've ever been in, and was definitely a really hard time in my life when I was going through it for such a big part of my life. And I don't know why I have been holding off. I just think sometimes getting really vulnerable on the internet is sometimes hard because you're always faced with criticism and judgment no matter what you post. But when it's something so personal to you and a story of your life that's a little bit more heavier, it's a lot harder to hear mean comments. But that's what the internet comes with. I just kind of was like thinking one day, and I'm just like, why do I care? As long as someone can relate to this or it can help someone, then that's all that really matters. And that's why I like to post these videos, to help you realize that you shouldn't be in the toxic relationship if you are in one, or if you're in an emotional abusive relationship. Then I hope that this can be like the video to really help you realize that you are so much more than that and you deserve so much better, and to help you get out of that. Because I know this relationship that I'm gonna share about, I was absolutely miserable 98% of the time for many years. So with that being said, thumbs up if you guys like this video, and if it helped you, it really helps me out. And like I said, just subscribe, that always helps me out as well. Definitely grab a snack, grab a drink. I've got my coffee here, you guys already know, and let's get into it. This relationship that I'm talking about was my very first relationship, very first real and long-term relationship. To be honest, I have not had many long-term relationships in my life. I met this person when I was just a teenager. I was in high school. Typical, you know, like high school sweethearts, but definitely didn't end in the sweethearts. I met this person when I was about 15, but we didn't start going out till I was 16. It was kind of like halfway into high school, or maybe like near the end of high school. This person was in my life for many years, on and off, probably about 5-6 years on and off. And it definitely was the most tumultuous, toxic, and I would even go so far to call it like a verbally abusive relationship. When I was in this relationship with this person, I wasn't really doing YouTube at the time, just started YouTube when we completely stopped talking. It's just something I just didn't want to talk about, but I feel like this was such a big part of my life and such a big thing that if I could help anyone just get out of a toxic relationship and a relationship like this, then that would make me so happy, because I definitely wish that I had YouTube kind of at the time to like hear stories like these and realize that, you know, you're gonna be okay if you leave the person, you're not with them anymore, and your life is just gonna become so much better. I'm just gonna give you guys a little bit of a background. We're gonna call this person Tom. So Tom and I met when we were young, obviously. So of course we're immature and we don't really know what we're doing. I had a really big crush on him and we ended up going out. I was definitely complete opposite of Tom. In high school, I was definitely more of like a goody girl. Even though I had a really bad reputation in high school, there was a lot of rumors made up about me from Mean Girls, and I did a video kind of on like my bullying experience, so it will be in my Storytime playlist, so definitely check that out. But I definitely didn't have a good high school experience, and I shared that with you guys many times. I definitely dealt with the Mean Girls situation. It was just a really difficult time for me. Although I had like this really bad reputation about me from nasty rumors that were spread that were completely so far from the truth. I had really strict parents when I was in high school, and if you guys have strict parents, then you may be able to relate, but I'm so thankful that my parents were strict when I was in high school, even though at the time you really like can't stand it because you're obviously a teenager, but your parents just want the best for you, but you don't really see it at that time because you know, you just want to be able to do whatever you want in high school. But I'm really thankful that my parents were very strict on me and had, you know, rules to follow, one of them being not to date, but unfortunately your girl did not listen to that rule, as you guys can tell by the story. But I am so thankful for that because, to be honest, going into high school, a lot of people go on the wrong path or can go on the wrong path. I feel like when you become a teenager, you see so many kids that like were good kids when they were like in elementary school and unfortunately go on the wrong path once they go to high school. I definitely was not one to party. I never went to a party once in high school, which is something that's, I feel like, a big thing, at least when I was growing up. Like, people would go to parties constantly and underage drink and, you know, experiment and stuff, and that was just not me. I really did work hard in school. School was really important to me, especially near the end of school. I got really good grades and like sports was my life. So that was just kind of me as a person. I definitely was more of the good girl, I guess, while like this person I would say is more of like the bad boy. He was definitely going towards that path of going down the wrong road in high school. I always just kind of felt like, oh, like I'm gonna be able to help this person to not go down that path because I'm gonna be a good influence. That was just like my young self thinking that way, and I feel like a lot of young girls think you'll be able to change someone, but let me tell you, you cannot change someone unless they want to change. And don't go into a relationship or go with someone thinking that you can change them. You want to find someone that already is gonna like compliment you and bring the best out of you. So this person was definitely, like I said, going the wrong path. He definitely was more into the partying life, and he was seen as kind of considered one of the popular kids, while that was just clearly not me in high school. But we ended up somehow dating, and I remember at least when it hit the year mark, it went completely downhill from there. It might have even honestly been a few months before. We just were two people that completely did not mix with each other. And I think a lot of the times that does happen. I'm not gonna say like I was this perfect person and he was completely horrible. I think sometimes two people just don't work together and just are not meant to be together. And I feel like that was our situation. We were just completely different people, had completely different goals and inspirations at the time, and we're on completely different paths in lives, and they butt heads. And a lot of the times too, when it came to like communication, we were completely polar opposites when it came to that, and the way that we dealt with situations. It was becoming extremely verbally abusive. We would get into these explosive fights that honestly, I have never been in such a toxic, horrible fight with a partner ever before, except for this relationship. And it's crazy because this was my first relationship, and this was kind of like building the foundation of what I thought relationships were supposed to be. I never had any prior experience, so I just thought at some points like people fight like this is okay, when it was completely not okay. Whenever I feel like someone would be mean to me, or if he would say like mean things to me, I always am that type of person that would become defensive and try and stick up for myself. In high school, I never really had someone that would ever stick up for me, and I always really wanted that so badly, for one person to stick up for me and go up to those mean girls or people that are treating me bad and say something, instead of me always feeling like I have to do it. But that's just the reality of it. I learned to build this defense mechanism where if I felt someone was taking advantage of me or walking all over me or belittling me, then like I was gonna stick up for myself, because I was the only person that was gonna be able to stick up for myself, or was going to stick up for myself. And that's what would happen. So if we would get into a fight, I would go back just as hard, just because I didn't want to feel like someone was putting me down. And that was such an issue for me growing up, because I was bullied and I was like talked so down upon, and there was all these nasty rumors about me, and I just felt like I had no control in my life. And that was like the one thing that I felt like I could control, is sticking up for myself and being there for myself when it came to people saying mean things to me. When it comes to toxic relationships, I feel like it's an addiction where you feel like you're like an addict. It's very hard to get off. Like from the outside looking in, people are just like, get out of it. Like, you're so much better than this person. You're like, you could do so much better. but when you're in it, it's really hard to cut and stop talking to the person, especially because you're on this roller coaster where like sometimes you have really highs and then you have really lows and you get addicted to that. That's how I always think about it. You have to eventually just like break out of it, but it takes a long time sometimes to be able to get out of that and get to that realization and just have enough of it. I know so many friends and family that have toxic relationships as well, and you can clearly see it, and you know they deserve so much better, but they can't get out of it. They can't get out of the toxic cycle. They can't cut loose, and they stick in it, and they stay with someone that is just not good for them, and they're not good for them as well. And you could see it, but it's so hard to get them to just stop. And this could even be for toxic friendships. Some people are just not good for you, and sometimes you're just not good together, and you have to learn to cut and get rid of toxic friendships, toxic relationships, or whatever toxic relationship you have in your life. I was in this toxic cycle where we would constantly get into arguments. To be completely honest with you, I have never been called such horrible names in my entire life except for this person. This person has called me every single name in the book, especially when it comes to degrading women. If you know like all the bad words that girls are constantly being called, think of that, and that's probably every word that I've been called. And it's crazy to think that I stayed so long with that person. And I knew in the back of my head that I didn't deserve it, but I couldn't let go of this toxicity. I couldn't jump off of the train. I couldn't just cut it loose. This relationship was definitely built on lies. If you know one thing about me, I'm a very honest person. I like to pride myself in the fact that I am honest, not a liar. And lying is probably one of my #1 pet peeves. I cannot stand when someone lies to me. I prefer someone just be brutally honest than lie to me. I think it is so wrong when people are constantly lying and you just never know what's true, and it just makes me not trust the person at all. That's what started happening in this relationship. There were times where this person like said that they wanted to like kind of get back on track and not do the bad things and party, but then it came out like behind my back that this person was partying and doing all this bad stuff that I had no idea about, and he would lie constantly to my face. When you're in a toxic relationship, in an emotionally abusive relationship, they manipulate you to make you think like you're the crazy one and you're the one in the wrong, when you know that you're not wrong in the moment, but somehow they can manipulate their words, manipulate you to think that like you're the crazy one. To hear the amount of times I was called crazy, I was making things up, I can't even list how many times. Everything I thought that this person was lying to me about, everything that I was told I was crazy about was actually true. But I didn't find this out till like years later. I really wanted the best for this person. You know, this was my first relationship. It's just such puppy love. I always think when you're in high school, like you're gonna be with this person forever. Like this is your soulmate. This is the one. And half the times, more than half the times, you don't end up with your high school sweetheart. It doesn't usually work that way. It's a very slim chance that you will, but when you're in the moment, you think you're gonna get married to this person and you can't see yourself living without the person. You think that there's no one else out there. When I was in this relationship with this person, I have never felt so little about myself. I had no confidence. This person always made me feel somehow that I was never good enough. And I would always feel like I had to try to prove to this person that I was good enough. There were so many lies and deceptions happening. He was constantly lying to me, calling me every name in the book. He was talking to girls behind my back. I somehow felt like I always needed to prove myself that I was good enough for this person, even though he was doing so many messed up things behind my back. When you're in a toxic relationship, you really do settle with a lot of things that you told yourself you never would, because you're so far deep in and it's just so hard for you to let go. Really affected me emotionally. It gave me a lot of trust issues. I just always felt really low in confidence. I already felt really low in confidence because of Mean Girls in high school and just all these things I heard about me. Him doing it too, which is someone that I considered to be so close in my life at one point, really did affect my self-confidence again. So it was just honestly a disaster. I always tell myself and try to remember that some people come in your life for a reason or for a season, and they're not meant to be in your life forever. And that's just the way that it goes, whether that's friends or relationships, partners, whoever it may be. It's just crazy to think that like someone could be in your life for so long and you've told them so much of your life, and then later on in life, they're complete strangers and you guys don't even know who you are anymore. It's so crazy, but I just feel like that is just a part of life. And sometimes it's for the better to not have everyone in your life that you had at one point, because it's better to be alone than to be with toxic people in your life. And if you have to prove like you're good enough to someone, that is a huge indicator and sign to get out. When you're in a relationship, you definitely shouldn't have to prove to someone that you're good enough for them. You should be with someone that loves you for the way that you are, and you're good enough for them off the bat. Like, you don't have to prove to them you're good enough. This person really lied to me so much, put me down, and yet I was trying to prove to this person that I'm good enough for him. And to be completely honest, I really don't think he deserved me at all. This person tried to make me sound like I was such a horrible, nasty person, but I know in the end he knows that I wanted the best for him. I always tried to, you know, point him on the right path of life because I wanted him to succeed and do really well, not go down that bad path that you see so many people do in high school. And I helped him so much with his schooling because he struggled a lot with certain classes, so I would spend extra time to constantly help him so that he could be able to get into the career he wanted to get into. And I put a lot of time and energy into this person to try and make sure that they get the best, because obviously when people are in my life, family or friends, I always want the best for them. I'm not someone that secretly want someone to fail or am jealous. Like, that's just not me. If you're in my life, I want you to do really well and succeed. Throughout us dating through high school, we broke up 100 times. It was constantly screaming, breaking up, getting back together, screaming, breaking up, getting back together. It was starting to become like more lows than highs, but I felt like I couldn't get out for some reason. You start to get used to the toxicity and it's just kind of like your regular everyday life. You forget how your life was before that person. And it's crazy because, you know, we come into this world without someone and we grow up our entire lives without this person and we're completely fine. But once we get in a relationship, we think, oh, I can't live without this person. But you can. You lived years and years without this person. This person is just a slither of your life and you can live without someone. You don't have to be with someone. And I definitely learned that in my life, that it's better to be alone than to be with someone that's toxic or be with someone that puts you down. If you're gonna be with someone, it should be because they bring the best out of you or you guys complement each other and it's easy. It shouldn't feel like it's work. Obviously in relationships, you're definitely gonna go through bumps, you're gonna have little arguments, but you know the difference between little disagreements and explosive fights where you're constantly breaking up, going back and forth, and you're just not good for each other. The first time that we completely stopped talking for years, I just feel like it was a built-up of constant lies that this person was telling me and just making me feel not good enough. But what ended up happening, I ended up going to university. We went to 2 different universities, and as you guys may know, I've mentioned it in different stories, I had a really good university life. I met a lot more friends. I was thriving. I was really starting to find myself. While, like I said, in high school, that just wasn't the case. So I was so happy when I found this university. Finally felt like I fit in. When it started to be university, we ended up breaking up for a good time. And what ended up happening, and I think was the end straw for me, which was just completely messed up. This person told me that he was going to move far away. The place that he said he was going to move is about 6 hours from where I live and would be like 7-8 hours from my school. So this person is pretending like he is in this new place, but still calling me and talking to me. And what ended up happening is Tom was in night school because he had to do a relap year of high school because he didn't get into his universities because his grades weren't that good. The funny thing was that he ended up being in the same night school class as my best friend's brother in our town. The whole lie about him moving like 7 hours away was a complete story that was all made up. He basically got caught in a lie again, never ever ended up moving away. That was just a whole elaborate lie, which I don't even get, because if it was to stop talking to me, it didn't work well because he was still texting and emailing and calling me. So it just made no sense. I'm like, this person's completely weird, and I was just kind of done. I think just doing university and having such a good experience, it was easy for me to finally realize that there's more than just him and that I can meet someone else other than him. I stopped talking to this person for a good couple or few years. Like, we had no contact. I did not talk to him at all. call, and then he randomly messaged me and pretty much was like asking to talk to me and was saying that he missed me so much and that he realized he wanted to be with me and that I was the one that got away kind of thing. This was probably the biggest mistake, was going back and listening to what he had to say, because it just kind of went back and I just like jumped back on that roller coaster and we started all over again, except this time it was a lot worse. After not seeing him for a few years, you know, I thought he would mature a bit, like we were starting to become adults now, and I thought, you know, he's probably like doing a lot with his life, he's probably matured, let me see what he has to say. When I started to talk to him again, he was so nice and acting obviously amazing. But then not long after, a few months into acting all amazing, this person started to be the worst version I've ever seen this person. He was so mean to me, calling me every name in the book. He honestly changed so much. Like his personality and everything changed, even completely opposite, even more than when I knew him the first time. So like I didn't even know who that person was anymore. We only didn't talk for a few years, but he changed so much. I ended up finding out that behind the scenes years later that he was doing kind of like bad things, doing kind of things that I would have never really wanted to be with someone that was involved in that kind of stuff. He would treat me and say like the meanest things to me that you could ever say to a girl. I knew at this time like we weren't as public anymore because I knew that I didn't want to be with this person in the back of my head. I knew I was stuck again in the cycle, but I knew this time like I was not going to end up with this person. There's way better people out there for me and I don't deserve this. So it was a lot more faster and easier for me to get out of it this time than the first time. We were off and on, like I don't even know. I just feel like we weren't really together, but we still kept in contact. There were times, you know, we were like, let's just be friends, and the friends route didn't work out. And I ended up going on a trip with my best friend because we graduated university now. I saw him one last time just to kind of say goodbye. And I did it kind of because I knew that this was going to officially be the last time I saw this person. And it was gonna be like my clarity for me to say goodbye and let go of that chapter in my life. So I went on vacation with my best friend. He proceeded to text me a little bit on vacation, very little, once again, so horrible and so mean to me. And at that point, I was a lot more older and mature, and I went through a lot more experiences in life where I knew I did not deserve that. And when I came back from Spain, I never spoke to this person again, never saw him again in my life. And it's been many, many years now. And it was the best decision in my life. I deleted him off everything. I have him on none of my social medias. I really think if you have a toxic relationship or friendship, delete them, because I'm the type of person, out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to know what you're doing. I don't care. It's better to rip the band-aid off than to slowly rip the band-aid off. He would yell at me all the time and call me all these names. I would have extreme panic attacks. I would cry honestly on the weekly, sometimes even on the daily. And when that person got out of my life, I was so much happier with my life. I didn't have panic attacks anymore. I wouldn't have reasons to cry anymore. I was just a lot more happier when this person left my life. And that's when I knew I am not meant to be with this person. We do not work together. We completely clash, and it's just not meant to be. And I guess I'll talk to you guys about kind of the things I heard after, because I did hear a little bit of things after when I completely cut him off. Like I said, this was so many years ago, and even the things I heard were years ago now. I obviously don't like associate with this person or really care. At the time, it was such a big part of my life, but growing up and being older and, you know, going through so many more experiences and dating people and now being my fiance, like it feels like it was another lifetime ago now, because I was so much younger. When we stopped finally talking, I ended up meeting people that actually knew this person, and this person ended up actually talking really bad about me the whole time behind my back. He was calling me all these profanities to people I didn't even know. Even the second time when he tried to come back into my life, he was talking really bad about me and calling me, like I said, all these profanities. And it was really just disheartening to hear someone talk so low about you to strangers even, and just people. I found out he was doing a lot of lying a lot, and he was doing a lot of bad things behind the scenes, and he wasn't in the best crowd, which I had no idea about. I constantly look at my my Instagram, which I didn't have him on, he would look years and years and years. He would look every single day sometimes, or sometimes once in a while check up on me. And that's what I think, because I would always catch him in my Instagram stories, which it's so crazy to see who you catch looking at your Instagram stories, who you know personally, but you don't follow each other. And they're usually the people that are like exes or girls that talk crap about you through your life, like mean girls or whoever you had a falling out with or whatever the case may be. Those are usually the people that are watching you the most on your social media and are the most into your lives secretly. It's kind of crazy how that works, but I caught him looking numerous times, even to this day, caught him looking at my Instagram story. You definitely never know who's watching. That was my entire toxic relationship and like experience, how I got out of it. If you're in a toxic relationship, get out. I know it's harder said than done, but I think you just need to really realize that you deserve so much and don't settle for anything other than that. If you're just miserable all the time, it's just not worth it. And although you may not think there's someone else better out there for you, there is. When you finally let go of the person and you've healed from the person and you've genuinely moved on from them, you're gonna feel so much happier and you're gonna realize why you guys didn't work out. You support, you know, whatever you have to do to be able to move on and get out. You don't deserve to be treated and talked down upon. You deserve to be treated with respect. The best decision in my life, like cutting this person out and not talking to him ever again. In the end of the day, he brought no value to my life. He made me miserable. He made me have extreme issues with my emotional well-being. I would, like I said, have extreme panic attacks where I've never experienced in my entire life. Except for those times in my life, I had really bad thoughts in my head. I definitely knew after that relationship, I knew what I wanted and I knew what I didn't want. And I knew I was not gonna settle for someone that would treat me ever again like that. I hope this could be useful and help any of you that may be struggling and going through the same thing. You can always leave your stories down below if you want to. A lot of the times you hold things into yourself and you don't really talk about it to anyone. So it's always good to hear stories from other people that are similar so you don't feel like you're alone. Thumbs it up if you guys liked it or related. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. I do upload it every single Tuesday and Thursdays, and make sure your bells are on. I will also have my socials down below, my Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.